welcome to Fit to Go, a show that's going to help you get ready for the Manitoba Marathon. Race day is coming really soon, so what we're going to talk about today is things that you should be doing before you race, some stretches, warm-up stretches, and some post-race stretches that you can do right after to prevent those muscles from getting really stiff and sore after you're done. Okay, so the first stretch we're going to do, again, this is for a pre-run stretch that you'll do just a few minutes before your race event begins, is toy soldier, okay? This is a fantastic stretch to loosen up the upper body and really gets the legs working in the motion of running, okay? So let's demonstrate that next. Perfect. So we're staying up on the toes on this particular stretch, rotating the torso, keeping the arms straight off to the sides, reaching for, if you can't touch the toe, it's okay, but you're trying to get your toe up to as close as you can to your hand. Excellent. Stretch number 2 is inner outer thigh, swinging your leg, basically. So again, it helps to loosen up the inner thigh and the outer thigh. And again, we're talking dynamic, so we're really swinging the leg in and out to make sure those muscles start to really react to the movement of running, okay? So the leg's gonna come out to the side and straight. It's getting close to my head. The third stretch we're going to do is butt kickers. And this particular one is really essential for when it comes to running because it really is specific to the running motion. What we're doing here is, again, a dynamic stretch that quickly activates the fast twitch fibers. So we're working on strengthening or getting the hamstrings warmed up and stretching the quadriceps, the muscles in front of the thigh. Keeping everything in line, both knees pointing down as you're doing this stretch. Staying up on the toes a little bit. Again, very specific to the running, really gets your muscles ready for the run. Fourth stretch is for the calves. And again, we're thinking dynamic movements once again. So here we are, we can have your hands up against a pole or a tree, but what's important here is that we're alternating, okay? And you can do this about 15 to 20 times per side. You're just going down, the heel drops to the floor, but you should be feeling a stretch. If you're not feeling a stretch, you can adjust the feet further back to make sure you do get that stretch feeling in the calves. Calves are a #1 issue for a lot of runners who are running, and if their muscles are going to cramp, quite often is hamstrings or the calves. So this really helps prevent that cramping happening early in your run. Stretch number 5, hacky sack, okay? Again, involving the inner thigh muscles, and actually there's a bit of dynamic movement here of the glutes just to kind of stretch them out a little bit. But what we're doing is we're keeping the upper body nice and straight, and imagine kicking up a hacky sack with the inside of the foot. It comes up to the hand each and every time, okay? Again, these are dynamic movements, and the idea with all these stretches is not to hold the stretch that's going to fatigue your muscles, but it's to get the muscles activated, to get the fast twitch muscles working so that when you start running, you feel loose, not tired from all the stretching you may have done otherwise. Okay, so we finished reviewing the stretches you should be doing before you run, now after you run. Really important, again, this is going to help prevent muscle cramping later. The soreness is something we'll talk about on the next episode, but right now this is to help the muscles stay loose after you've run for the rest of the day. One of the biggest muscles that'll tend to tighten up are the glutes, so we're going to go over that stretch first. What we're going to be doing now is holding these stretches. So Lori's going to go down into a front plank position, and this is the easiest way to start, is go into a full front plank, and we're going to slide your knee up right to the midpoint of the hand. So it stops right here, right in between, okay? And then we drop down onto the back leg and then drop the chest straight down. The center of the chest goes right down to the knee, just like that. The area you're stretching is right here across the glutes and into the outer thigh. Really helps to loosen that area up. Hold these stretches for about 60 seconds if you can, even longer, up to 2 minutes to really effectively get the muscle to release, to get the full benefit of your stretch. This is the point when you want to start to lengthen your muscles, not before you race, but afterwards. Now your muscles are tired, they're looser, you get a much better, much deeper stretch. Very therapeutic. If you have had an injury, you've had problems, this is the time to really make a difference. The next stretch that we're going to do is a lunging stretch. And again, this has to do with loosening up the muscles in and around the hips generally, okay? So we start with a lunging position. And the movement here is Lori's going to actually lunge forward, dropping the hip down towards the heel of her front leg. Now notice when she comes into this lunging position, which is perfect, the angle of this knee. We're just barely past 90 degrees. The knee stays behind the toe. If that knee starts to go past your toe, if you're noticing that, you have to step forward and then attempt to lunge again. The areas we're targeting here, we're getting the hamstrings, we're getting the quadriceps of this back leg. We're also getting a little deeper in the hips too, but those are the two main muscles that we're actually trying to loosen up on this. If you're not feeling the stretch too much, you can add a little more intensity by bringing up your back heel And again, this requires a little bit of balance and strength, not for everyone. So if you feel a stretch already in a lunge, it's fine. But if you want more advanced stretch, you want to get the quads more, you go right into this particular stretch, pulling that heel up towards the butt, keeping the back nice and straight. That's a perfect position to really help loosen up those muscles. The next stretch we're going to do is for the hamstrings. Again, this is a very common stretch that you'll see quite often, but there's a couple ways we can make this a little more interesting for you. Notice the leg position here. We have one leg out straight. The foot position of the straight leg should be pointing straight up. That's important because your leg's going to want to roll off to the side. Keeping that foot straight up really helps isolate the hamstrings more effectively. We have the bent knee here, just off to the side, sort of in a hurdler's position. We're going to lunge forward, but the key here is keeping the back straight, okay? Not allowing your body to bend forward too much. By keeping your back straighter, isolates the stretch to the hamstrings a lot more effectively. Again, you're holding these stretches, I can't emphasize enough, 60 seconds minimum, 2 minutes maximum. Stretch number 4, inner thigh, okay? So again, this can be kind of a tricky one to do, but if you have a pole, a wall, or a tree or something to put your heel up on, it works perfectly. What we're doing is we're bracing this leg, so you get a little bit of a stretch here, but we're gonna focus on this lower leg here. Both hips points are down on the ground in this, so the whole back stays flat on the floor. Just let gravity do the work here, okay? So what you're trying to do is relax. If your foot's not touching the floor, that's great actually. What you want to do is, again, relax your breathing in and out through your stomach and allowing that leg to slowly let itself down. So that's the releasing that you should be feeling during your stretches. Every couple of moments, every time you exhale, you want to feel the muscle let go, and every breath that leg should drop just a millimeter or two closer to the ground. And that's a great way to stretch the inner thigh, very controlled, and if it starts to hurt, you just ease up a little bit on it and then let it come down again to that point of just feeling tension. The last stretch we're going to show you today is the golfer stretch. Again, for loosening more so the torso into the glutes and even the IT band. I'll show you a neat way to do that. Starting with the knee bent, we're going up to about 90 degrees. There's a magic number here on this. So 90 degrees at the knee, 90 degrees from the torso and the hip. We're going to let this leg roll across. Now watch the hip rotate up and across. So now our hip's pointing straight up to the ceiling. That's perfect. Allow that to happen because we want to stretch the obliques. You want to stretch the lower back. That also tends to tighten up like many other muscles in your body as you're running. So this area is going to focus mostly on the glutes and the torso. To add a little bit of IT band to this, we straighten that leg out perfectly straight. And if you're a person who has had iliotibial band issues, that's a neat way to sort of target that area a little bit there to loosen it up. Thanks for watching Fit to Go. Next week, we're going to talk about tips to help you stay on track when it comes to running the marathon. So we're talking the day before, day of, and right when you're finished, the things you should be doing that's going to make your experience a lot more comfortable. Remember, there's more information. If you have questions on any of these things, you can email me, Marty@advantageconditioning.com, or check out our website. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you next week.